All right. What is up? I have no idea. I have no idea what well, I kind of have an idea of why I wanted to do this. I wasn't planning on it. But yeah, we're gonna talk about this for a little bit. What's up, everyone? Um, let's let's go. I don't really pay attention much to this to a degree. Like I'm not like waiting for these things to come out, right? I've been at I was at Texas Oklahoma fishing the TTO. And then right after that, I went up to Tulsa to do some striking stuff, right? And I guess it came across Facebook or something about like this new schedule or the changes, right, with MLF. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I got a couple. I had heard some rumblings of this, and so on my way back, I called up Hallman. I didn't know where he was at, and he was already at the Red River because some things were happening. So he's practicing for the Open. I was supposed to go practice down there around the same. I was going to go like a day or two early because I don't want to spend much time on that place. So I was just going to go. I didn't want to waste my weekend. I wanted to go during the middle of the week for like a day or two. And then the Tulsa thing came up, Strike King thing. So I ended up not going. So, anyways, Hallman was already there. And I'm just trying to fit like I know there's some things rolling down the pipeline with Bass too, like the schedule. And I think there's some other things. And normally we kind of wait on this stuff, right? We kind of wait and then talk about it once it happens. And yeah, I was like, why wait? Even though this has already happened, I'm there's they gave some details, right? They gave some details in this, and I didn't really read it all. I'll be honest with y'all. I got it right here. So I'm not gonna like read it to y'all. But I went over it and instantly some things caught my eye. One is I'll start off with this. Do y'all know how do y'all are gonna get where I'm going with this? So I'm getting off base for a second. You know how like over the past couple of years in like in our society, some things have happened, right? Uh I'll be honest, a lot of it was with like COVID. And when it all started, there was like all these things thrown around, right? And it happens with so many subjects, and it has nothing to do with politics or anything like. It just happens with subjects, like something pops up, and then everyone like can't wait to talk about it, even though no one knows anything about anything. And then there'll be like one or two guys that like hit the nail on the head, and they hit the nail on the head, and usually those guys, girls, guys, doesn't really matter. That's what I'm saying. Whoever they take this like view, and there's not many of them, and they usually get ostracized. They get like made fun of. They like get. I mean, right? Like these things go down, and then when it's all said and done, it's like a few guys got it right, and millions of people got it wrong, but a few guys got it right. But those guys like took a beating. And nothing's ever said about it. No one ever comes back years later like, hey, man, you were right. Right? Like that happens a lot. Like no one ever sits there, like they don't ever get the credit that they should deserve. And it happens so much and it frustrates me so much because it's like, man, like they go up there and like they stand up there by their own and just get whatever. Well, I'm not saying this was me or Andrew or some of us. But when we left FLW a long time ago, we weren't, and when I say that, I still fish Toyotas and stuff, right? What we didn't like when all this thing went down was if you see us, we kind of look at it and go, man, this doesn't seem something's not adding up, right? And I understand too that this was a new venture, sort of like what you would call a new business. And anyone that has a new business or starts a new business, like you have a game plan, right? And sometimes you stick by that game plan, but if that game plan, if that business starts to like tank, you start changing things, right? And you change things because you're trying to figure out like how to make it successful. The problem is that when this all went down, there was a lot of us that were like, that's not going to be successful because I think I know the intentions of what's going on. Okay. And and then they stood on I mean, there were so many things about we're gonna, two fish, like it's gonna be a 2 pound deal here. Like we got to catch 2 pound fish or bigger, right? And I was like, that's gonna turn into this. Like, we're not changing. We're never challenging. They freaking stood on that hill and then they changed. And we got no entry fees, man. We're never gonna have any entry fees changed. And all these things changed, right? And I get it. Like I understand business. Like I understand that you had to do that. Man, you stood on a bunch of hills and you were wrong, right? Like you were wrong on a lot of these things. And you kind of jumped on anyone that wasn't with you. And so I get that. I understand you have to change, but man, like if I started something, I'd be very open to like, hey, let's try this, and if it doesn't work, like I'm gonna be open to listening to people, or I'm gonna be very open to like public. So if I started this and like 75% of the people were like, hey man, we don't like this 2 pound deal, like, hey man, we might need to look at it. Not, hey, you know what? Screw y'all. Y'all's opinion doesn't matter, right? That's the way I look at it. I'm going over a lot. I get it. But we said that we didn't like a lot of these things and how it was going to go down. And we saw the writing on the wall. And so we got out. It was the best decision. I don't regret any of my decision, right? It was what it was. And I'm not knocking them. Like they try to do something great. Like in the beginning, I thought what they tried to do was really good. I thought when I say the beginning, like the very beginning, like the start of the idea of no entry fees. And I've always been a big fan of all that stuff on however you can make it work. Try to make it work that way. Um, you also have to put the tournament in front of yourself. And that's what I didn't think was going to happen. I didn't think the tournament and the fishing was going to be in front of the people. And as a tournament angler, a guy who fishes a lot, and I don't think this guy will mind. I had a conversation last night, called me up about the and keep writing comments, James or any of y'all. Like I'm gonna get on all of you. I'm gonna reply to a lot of these things. Okay. I talked to him. They're starting up a new deal, and I'll talk about it. It's the Brandon Belt tournament. Which if y'all don't know about it, look at the Brandon Belt tournament. It's going to go down next year. I'm all for it. I'm all for bigger entry fee tournaments that want to pay like this. Right? Entry fee tournaments that are bigger, but want to pay like what they're doing. I'm all for that stuff. It's not just the fact that I want bigger entry fees. No, I want a tournament that wants to pay like what they're trying to do. Like I'm all for it. And he kind of talked to me about some things, and we went over a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, hey, look, man, you're going to get a lot of opinions from a lot of different things. I get it. And I was like, look, man, I just want a successful tournament trail. If I can't catch a fish or cash a check, that's on me. But if I feel like I'm going out there on something that's really, really fair and makes a lot of sense and is really logical, dude, I will back your tournament trail all day long because it makes sense, right? And it's fair, and you're not putting people in front of your trail. I always give advice I want the trail to be successful. So many anglers that give opinions because it's based selfishly on themselves. And I told them, when you ask people, get ready for that. And there might be some guys watching this that like, I'm talking about you. Like, you give opinions solely based on how it's going to affect you and how it's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for me if the trail's better. If the trail is better and succeeds, it's better for me. If I gave you advice that only helped me and the trail goes downhill, well, then how did I win? I might have won like a short game, but in the end, the trail falls apart. So I always try to give good advice to hopefully make the trail successful. I'm like, hey, I've seen trails go bad, and this is why. I've seen trails do good, and this is why. So, like, when you make decisions, base it on the trail, the success of a trail. Don't worry about the people involved in the sense of like individuals that complain about certain things. Like, don't change the trail because of them. Change it because it's good for the whole. Okay. And that usually is better for all of us. So I look at this and I instantly started reading. I'm like, okay, 150 anglers competing over 3 days. I'm not going to go entry fee going up 3 day, not 4 day doesn't seem so bad. Totally agree. It doesn't seem so bad. But here's the deal, James. Every decision they make, you have to sit back and go, why did they make it? Okay. Now, when I told this guy in any other trail that I've ever given advice to, I don't just throw out a random like change or why I would do something. I'm going to give you 50 different reasons. And hopefully, after my 50 different reasons, you're going to listen, go, okay, those make a lot of sense, right? I'm not just going to say, hey, this, and not give you a reason. I'm going to tell you why. And it might be right or wrong, but I bet you I give better reasons than you can give me on why you did it. So that 3 or 4 day, ask yourself, why did they do that? And I'm gonna get back to that. So why? Just ask yourself why. Do you think they did it for the fishermen? Okay, that's your. Is it better for the trail? Is it better for the fishermen? Okay, ask yourself that first. Doesn't seem so bad for you. And it might not be for you. Once I said this is for an individual, but why? Why did they do that? And I don't know why, but I'm gonna ask some questions, and I want to hear what people have to say. I'm gonna get back to that one. So, but I want everyone before they write questions, it wonder why they did that, because you've got to realize real quick what they're doing is they're doing changes. And I'm gonna get to more of these changes. They're doing changes not to help anyone, us. I promise you. And it's gonna show real quick. So if all these changes don't really help us, start asking yourself why they then did it. And it could be business, it could be a lot of things. But let's go to the next one. Each event will feature a total purse of more than 650,000. Okay. I normally don't do this. So right before I did this, I was like, I better not look stupid on camera, right? So I sit over there and I'm like, all right, with the winner receiving a top payout of up to not of up to 115,000. That one caught my eye instantly. Of up to 115,000. Now, the payout on the of last year's tournament was what? $100,000. Okay. They didn't say you're getting 100,000. They're saying up to 115. Now, if you won with the Phoenix, how much do you win? $135,000. So last year's payout would read a payout of up to $135,000, which means the first place payout was 100. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm about 99% sure because they haven't posted this yet. Lets me know with some simple math that top prize is $80,000. 80,000. So once again, we see changes, but I don't see the changes. There's one change, right? That's not a change for us. That doesn't help. And I say us, the fishermen fishing this. That doesn't. I don't think a $20,000 less is a help, right? Okay. Automatic qualification into the MLF Red Crest. Okay. So what does that remind you of? Bassmaster Opens, going right to the Classic, right? So they kind of showing this a little bit like BASS in that regard, right? We'll get back to that. Invitations will feature a $5,000 per tournament entry fee. I'm still going to go off on this. So like, so what's going on right now? Here's the best. Gas prices, right? Gas prices are high. Everyone's so like our gas prices have gone down to like $3 and whatever, and everyone's like, man, this is pretty good. Well, it's pretty good because the gas prices were like four something, right? So it was way down here, at mid twos, and then went up to four something. Now it's back to like three, hovering around that three something, right? And we're like, oh man, this is great. Well, it's great because it was so bad, but it's still worse than what it was before this, right? And I just bring that up because that's an easy one, and everyone that's easy for us to analyze, right? It's a good analogy. Well, the 5,000 is like, was it 55? Someone's telling me this. Was it 5,500 last year or 58? I swear it had gone up or something. I can't remember. But either way, all it's ever done is gone up. So it's still bad. Like, it's just still bad. So that's not good. Payouts up to 50 anglers that place. Entry fee will pay out to the top 50 anglers. What did they go down to last year? 70 something, 74 or 8. Like I said, I kind of paid attention, but it's not 50. It was like 74. So now they've taken 20 something places that they're not paying. So they've taken 20 something places that they're not paying, and the top prize has gone down 20,000. None of those seem like good things for us. They went back to a 3-day 5-fish limit tournament. So, like I said, we all kind of said we didn't like some of that deal. We just got freaking just killed by people going about like, oh, wait a minute, like catch and release. And like, if you don't catch and release on the boat, you're horrible and you're this bad fisherman. And like tournaments like this are a thing of the past. Okay. Well, they kind of went after that hard. A win in, you're in. I get like, that's not the worst thing, but I have a feeling why they did that. There's a season-long Angler of the Year will also win a berth into the Red Crest for a total of 7 Red Crest qualification opportunities. I got a feeling why they did that. And the top 8 anglers in the season-long invitational AOY will qualify for the 2024. Let me read this again. The top 8, not 10, 8 in the season-long invitational AOY point standings will qualify for the 2024 Bass Pro Tour. I thought it was 10. It was 10. That's what they told us when they told us all these things a couple years ago. It's going to be 10, and that's why you have a big chance. That's why you need to stick around and fish this. It's going to be a great thing. No entry fees, this and that. 10 of y'all are going to be able to be qualified for this thing. And why did y'all leave? It's not 10 anymore, is it? It's 8. And it's not entry. We got entry fees now. And all those things have changed. They've all changed. And that's what we all said. That's what we said. We didn't know how they were going to change. We had a really good guess that this is what was going to go down. And it continually goes down. I'm not knocking them. Like they might say, man, you're really knocking this. I'm just reading what they say. They can spin it the way they want to. Like if they sit there and said, hey, next year we're going to do this, and the entry fees are going to go down to 4,500, and we're going to pay out 120,000 for first. Dude, I'd be on here screaming how good this is. I have no problem. Like I talk about good tournaments. I think the Brandon Belt tournament's going to be good. I have always supported the Toyotas. I think the Toyotas are the best bet in fishing, or one of them. And I'm going to get to that. Why do I think it's good? Because the payouts are really good in them. It's a regionally localized event where you're not traveling all across. They go to Great Lakes. When I mean Great Lakes, not the Great Lakes. They go to good lakes, good fishing lakes. They've always tried to go to good fishing lakes. They always tried to like, it's the one trail that I think really is for the fishermen because that they really tried, and then they got this great championship and they've changed qualifications in the championship. And I've never knocked them on that. Like, right, it used to be 40, now it's 25. But then the championship went from like 50,000 to the last 2 years, 200,000 and still a no entry fee. See, I'm very consistent. If I hear something that's really good, I will praise you. I have been praising what they've done with the Toyotas, right? And so, man, 200,000. The top 10, I made the top 10. I went and looked. I have to go look at it. I made the top 10 in the Toyota Championship in 2011. I didn't even know how much I made. I look back, I finished 9th place on Kentucky Lake, and I made like $3,000. I didn't even think much about it because I was just cool. It was like my first ever championship, and I was just glad I made it. I came in 6th this last year and won like, did I win 10? Won 10, but all of us in the top 10 won 10. Like, dude, that was freaking phenomenal. Like the guy that won it won $200,000. They also had another incentive in there that if you were the highest place finisher in your division, you won another 10 grand. Like, killed it. They killed it. They killed it. They did a phenomenal job with the Toyotas. I backed the Toyotas like crazy. It's freaking best thing going. Thanks, Ballin. $5,800. So someone's going to get on here and go, hey, man, they went down on entry fees to 55,000. They were at 5,800. Why aren't you going to talk about that? Because it was not 5,000 years ago, and the payout was better. So, like I said, the payouts have gone up. You can't make that's like going, hey, we're going to go to 8,000 next year on payouts and then go back down to like 6,000. Like, hey, look what we did. No, it's still junk, but you just wrapped a prettier bow on it. No, it's still bad. Still bad. Also, about 70 less boats fishing and paying entry fees. There's not 70 less boats fishing. They weren't having. See, this is what I wanted to answer. This is why I didn't want to answer questions yet. But I'm gonna check. He might be right. I'm just gonna go down to let's see this. The last one on Champlain. I could be wrong. No, look, dude. So, no, I knew it. Okay. Not 70. That's a bold statement. 70 less boats fishing and paying entry fees. No, you're wrong. All divisions. So this is the Lake Champlain. This is stop number 6 of this last year. Kyle Hall won it, right? He won $137,500. Includes a $35,000 Phoenix bonus. So that's where I came up with that number, right? The other 2,500 might be other incentives. Okay. Like I said, they didn't put down what first place, so I'm just assuming what it is, and I'm assuming right. 154 people. 154 people fish this thing. That's 4. It's 4 less people. It's only 4. That's $20,000 less. But they're also, remember, they're also not paying 28 more places or whatever it is. So just that's not 70. They did not. I'm willing to bet they did not have 220 boats at any of the Tackle Warehouse Circuit. Now I got to get back to what. Oh man, you got me all messed up. Now I got to get back to. Okay, here it is. Just because there's probably more on here. So, anyways, like I said, they also 8 guys are going to qualify, not 10. Right? But it's really not 10. So in the opens, 10 guys qualify. Or no, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. In the opens, you qualify. They are taking, what is it this year? It's this year's 3, 4. Was it 9 of it? What am I doing? 4? Is it 4? It's 10 or 12. Doesn't really matter what it is. And here's why I'm gonna say that. Why don't I know this? Is it 9? Are they taking 9 guys or 12? It's irrelevant. This is why it's irrelevant. Whatever they say they're going to take, they're going to take. Okay. And they will bring that many more in. The problem, and what we always said is there's a group of anglers that are running, that are more into running this other trail. They're doing everything possible to protect those anglers. I've always said I have no problem with that. None. You can run your business however you want to run it. What I've always said is this: if you're going, as fishermen, you have to understand that that's what's going on. So there's always going to be protection in those anglers. So when you look at anything that's written down here, I just want y'all to ask yourself, why? Why is it that way? Why did they do something? They put in there that if someone requalifies, like a Michael Neal, like a Justin Lucas, like those guys, they don't go down to the next tackle warehouse guy. It goes to the MLF. Those guys get saved. Zero problem with any of that. The reason I have zero problem with that is I already know that. I already know that that's why that's in place. It's not for the tackle warehouse guys. You are given an opportunity, but more things are stacked against you because of that. So that's all I'm saying. What does this guy say? So now it pays less per person and it pays less people. Yeah. Yeah. And you can say, you can look at the numbers, and I'm going to get to some other things. You can look at the numbers and go, well, Todd, now there's less people and they're going to do this and this and that. You can rationalize it all you want to. My point being is this, is that this is not how it was 10 years ago when it was killing it, when you could fish the FLW and they were fishing for $1 million and the entry fees were like $2,500. It was insane, the amount of money. Like, remember when Bassmaster Classics and the were all like, what is it, 500,000, $1 million? Like, it was, now they're all 300,000 and we all just accept it. You do realize everything since then has gotten more expensive and higher, right? And so you would only expect, like every salary in every sports has gone up, right? Everything has gone up. All of our costs, everything's gone up except our payouts. Our payouts can go down. They go the opposite direction. So I always find that funny. Entry fees go up. So if anyone starts talking about entry fees used to be half of what they are and they paid more. So no matter what argument you ever throw on these comments, I can just win that argument by saying, yes, you can say that from last year's, but go back 10 years and look up those numbers, and it will blow you away about how bad it has gotten, right? And so, like I said, you can't say, well, look, it's a little bit better now today. I guess, but not really. If you look at the whole deal. So, anyways, that's the other deal. They're only bringing 8, not 10. So it went down to 8. They dropped. They got, so you have 2 less chances now. And if anyone requalifies from that tour, did you notice the first year? Or was it 4? 4 out of the 10 made it. Am I right? Like, tell me if I'm wrong. Dakota Ebert, Jeremy Laurier, Cole Floyd, and Ryan Salzman. 4 out of the 10. Other ones went to 2 guys that requalified. And so 4 out of the, only 4 guys got, not 10. Not 10. I'm just saying. And it wasn't, you knew, the reason that's important is this. When they started, just like on here, they tell you some things. Like I said, nothing on here says, and I could be wrong, so I'm throwing this out there. It doesn't say that they're not paying $100,000 for first place in this event. It just says we're paying up to $115,000. With the winner receiving a top payout of up to $115,000. Okay, that's all it says. I'm guessing, like I said, that it's not 100,000. It's going to be closer to 80,000, and the Phoenix incentive is in there. Why is that important? It's important because I'm guessing at some of these things. I don't know, and normally I would wait, but I don't care. I'm going to go do it now, and they can prove me wrong. I have no problem being proved wrong. I hope I'm wrong on all these things. But when all this went down and we had meetings and I had to sit there and listen to them, and they told me, you were going to give you 2 years to requalify for the BPT. Stick around with us. Like, go with us on this. Pay these entry fees. Fish all this. Do all these things while we sit up here. We didn't qualify for any of this stuff. We made it. They went out on a limb. Okay. Some of them did. Most of them didn't. Most of them just got asked to fish or didn't ask to fish. There was no qualification. We're not going to pay anything. We're going to sit up here and do our thing. No entry fees, no everything. But y'all sit down here for 2 years and try to qualify to get to where we're at. And I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do this. And I was like, well, okay. Because I don't know if that's going to be the case. Well, then all of a sudden it didn't take 2 years. It took 3. Nice little COVID ran in there and messed everything up. Or I'm not sure. I forget what it was, but didn't take 3 years. And then on top of that, oh yeah, by the way, because they never said this. They never said, hey, we're also going to fish some of these tournaments. And we can also requalify. And if we're double qualification, we're going to take those qualifications and give them to other guys that are already here, right? You can do whatever you want to. What I'm saying is, when things like this get put out, I ask myself why you're doing it. In addition to the 6 winning your invitational Red Crest qualifications, I haven't even got to this, right? And the Angler of the Year. Oh my gosh, I don't want to go through that. Go look at Angler of the Year. What was it, Michael Neal? Has Michael Neal won both of them? So a guy who's already, and I like Mike. This is not Mike. This is anything. This is actually me crediting the guys on the BPT. Chances are it's going to be a BPT guy. So chances are it's going to go to another guy. It's more of an incentive for a BPT guy to come fish these and get Angler of the Year, because those guys are good. Not saying any of that. I'm saying why this is a deal strictly on Tackle Warehouse. 150. Okay. All qualified anglers may compete in any number of invitational events. All qualified anglers may compete in any number of invitational events. So the way I read that is qualified. Qualified is any BPT guy, any guy already on the Tackle Warehouse. I should have read that. And it sounds like there's another line up above. It said the balance of the 100. Okay, I need to read this first for y'all. The balance of the 150 boat field will be filled professional anglers from the BPT. This is what I was talking about. And the 2022 Pro Circuit. And the Toyota Series anglers who missed initial qualification. So it gets to go to any of these guys. I don't have to fish all 6 of them. Now, granted, I do miss out on Angler of the Year. You know, that chance to win Angler of the Year and go to the red, whatever it is, the Red Crest. That's it. I don't know if there's Angler of the Year money in here. I don't see it. Could be. I'm guessing there isn't. I don't see. So hear me out. I don't see any incentive to fish all 6 of them other than the one spot to win Angler of the Year and then have an automatic bid into the Red Crest. Now, as I read through all this, what don't I see? This might be the biggest one. Tackle Warehouse Circuit. I want to show y'all something. We go to a Tackle Warehouse and click on it. Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. Okay, results. Michael Neal did win Angler of the Year. First place, Spencer Sheffield, championship, $205,000. Dakota Ebear, who's been on a tear, second, $50,000. Jacob Wall, third, $30,000. Kurt Mitchell, $25,000. And on and on and on and on till you get to 10. There's a bunch of 11,000s and 10.5s, whatever, until it gets to 31st place. 31st, or is it 30th? Doesn't matter. 31st place through 50th won $10,000 in what I believe was a no entry fee championship. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I don't read anything on here about a championship. I mean, I kind of already knew that. I don't see a championship on there. I didn't do the math on that, but I can tell you one thing: 205,000, along with 50 and 30. I mean, golly, we're already up to $300,000, and then we're going to go a bunch of 11s and a bunch of. There's still a whole bunch of other stuff. There's 43 more places at 10,000 is a minimum of 430,000. I can do the math real quick. 430,000. That's minimum, right? Plus the other 300,000. Yeah, that's 730,000 minimum. It's probably closer to 800,000. 800,000 in a championship they gave away for no entry fees. Don't see any of that here. Don't see anything about a championship. $800,000 they took away. I'm guessing they could prove me wrong from the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. And it's not the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. I need to stop saying that just so y'all know what I'm talking about. It will be MLF Invitationals. We'll replace the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. Do I have to explain that? Tackle Warehouse doesn't need to be a part of that anymore. So, there you go. So we can jackpot now. I have a feeling that I'll be shocked that there's going to be guys that don't qualify for this circuit in an invitational that they're going to allow people to fish. Like there's a small chance I think that I would be allowed to fish. Because I think, yeah, I mean, I made a top 10 last year in the points, but I don't know what the points qualification is because I could have cared less. Maybe it's still top 5. I don't know. But I if it doesn't fill up with 150, I think they'll let other guys in. You can jackpot this now. Why wouldn't you jackpot? These are going to be, it's an invitational. And what I mean by it, I don't care about the word invitation. They used to have these. I fit my first ever FLW event that was like a big one was on Rayburn, and they had these opens, right? So many of us try to get in it. I got in it, and I'm not saying anything was wrong with it, but they had them. So they used to have the tour and then opens, and so you go fish and open it. So they I think there was like 4 of them. I'm not even saying it's bad, but they still had the tour in there. These look like all opens to me, sort of. Like you can fish the ones you want to. And I don't know how those ever turn out great. Because why would you fish all of them if there's no championship? I mean, so you're going to get a lot of like one of the things that we do like as tournament fishermen is like, I love the fact that when I fish these circuits, like a circuit like that, and that's what we tried to do with TTO. Okay. And I bring up the TTO is we made you fish all 4 of them or you can't get in. It's a big deal to all of us because, and there's a guy or two that paid their deposits, not going to fish the rest of them. And they kind of got called out in the meeting. And I kind of wish they had called their names out just to let everyone know that what they did was totally fine. You can do it. But as a whole, we are trying to stop guys from jackpotting events. I don't care about jackpotters. I could care less. But it is so nice when a jackpotter sits out there and doesn't want to like fish anywhere else, and they have to sit on the sidelines and watch. And it's cool that we all go to a lake and we're just trying. That's all we wanted, like, right, to be a little fair, to be like some guys have more knowledge of a lake. And if I have to fish against a guy from, say, Texoma, and I got to go to his home waters, he has to turn around and come to mine, right? And I like that. Like, that's part of, like, that's the kind of gamesmanship, right? I like that part, that they have to, like, hey man, and then we're all going to go to another lake that we've never been on, right? And we're going to go try to figure them out, and we might have to go against those that might, a guy that might know more about that lake. Like, that's cool. Like, I love that, right? And I don't mind, like, I'm trying to think of an example. The closest one I can think of is, like, they go to Lake Fork and Lee Livesey. Like, that's not a big deal. Lee Livesey still has to come to some of their lakes that they know better than Lee Livesey. I don't, because Lee Livesey's fishing all of them. So I'm like, zero problem with that. Like, I like, that's not a big deal. But it would suck. What if it was like, hey, we're going to fish these elites, and hey, Lee's just going to cherry pick which ones? I mean, that's not really, I'm not picking on Lee. I just use him as a great example because, I mean, he's good on fork. He's obviously really good everywhere else because he freaking won this year on whatever. Like, I went fish the Open. What's it called? Someone help me out here. Mississippi. Ross Barnett. So, I mean, Lee can fish. I mean, he's already won another elite event. Like, Lee can catch him. But, yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm reading so far. That's all they got. They ran out of room. All right. How long has it been? 40 minutes? Got it. I hope that's not sounds like some big rant. I'm just telling you. All right. So now I'm gonna start reading some stuff. Sounds like the CEO are getting. Can I click this on? Oh, I didn't StreamYard this, so I can't put comments on here. Dang it. This is definitely a play to decrease expenses and improve margins. Yeah. And like I said, like, I got no problem with that. I got no problem with them trying to run a business. You got to realize that I have no problem with any of this. Like, I look at big picture stuff. In the big picture, like, you got to realize I said it in a meeting and had to listen to a guy tell me why something like this, like, they came out with a big press release and we're going to do all these things. And I don't mind you telling us what those things, like, give us the information. Got no problem with that. I'm smart enough guy. I can look at the information and tell what's good or not, right? I'm like, okay, this good, this bad. But then you want to sit there and have an angler come on in that meeting and tell me, like, oh man, we're really doing this for you. And like, guys, we're really here to help you all out and do all these things. And I'm like, no. Man, I would have respected you more if you just hadn't said a word. Give me the information. Let me decide by myself. Don't, like, wrap it up in this big bow, because then when I find out it's not that good, like, you think I'm going to be better about that? Like, that's going to make me feel better? No, it's going to make me even more mad because you tried to sell me something that was junk, right? I don't want to call it junk. Kind of do. But I mean, it was something like, you tried to wrap a bow on it. And I'm like, no, man, just give me the information. If I still want to fish, that's fine. If I had a guy right now that said, hey, man, Todd, I want to go see you fish those things, I'm going to pay your entry fees. I'll go fish them. And you're like, well, isn't that hypocritical? No, I haven't said one time on here not to fish any of this. I haven't knocked what they're doing in the sense of any of this. I'm just explaining what I'm reading. That's all I'm doing. I'm giving out information and telling you that, like, you can phrase it how you want to, but this is really what's going on, right? Like, I didn't see one, like someone else tell me what I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Someone show me, like, a positive of what I just read. I want to hear someone else's point of view. I wanted to have Andrew on. Andrew's shooting the show. I don't even really want to have Andrew Holman on. I would have loved to have had someone on that fishes the tackle warehouse circuit. I guess I could have called one of them. To be honest with you, they get stuck in this weird fishing industry is weird where people are afraid to speak out. Like like you're gonna get banned. I wonder why people think they're gonna get banned. I mean, you got guys getting banned off of social media from social media because they say something that's not even, you know what I'm saying? Like, I if MLF called me right now and was like, "Hey, dude," I'm like, "Well, what did I say that was so wrong? Like, where was I wrong in any of this? And if not, come on. I'll have you on." You didn't want to come on my stupid little live deal. All right. Also about saving this, but that no, my toys will be packed this year with bass changes. Thoughts, Todd? Listen, there's some things coming down with bass. Okay, look, I already don't like bass knows. Like I still fish bass. I got an open next week that maybe I'll go practice for eventually on the Red River, which is awful. I can't say that enough. I'm interested to see what they do with the changes of bass. Now I know they have changed the qualification process. Good or bad, I am not. I can go whatever on the changes of that. Honestly, if for me, this is me a personal, straight up personal opinion. I think I have a better chance making it now with if I had to go fish 9 events and you're going to take that many people from those 9 events. I personally think I have a better chance of qualifying. I don't want to get into the whole man, it takes the working man. I totally agree with y'all, right? I'm only fishing 3 right now because I'm not going to go travel around the country and lose money trying to qualify for the elites. That sounds like a stupid business plan. So I won't do it. So the 3 makes more sense in that aspect. I will agree with all of y'all. I'm saying though, if someone was going to go pay for it for me, or if money was not an issue, for me personally, I think I have a better chance of making a top 9 out of Angler of the Year because I think I'm a over the years I think I have shown a consistency to catch them. Okay. I just bring up the fact that I did this once the first year they ever did it. I think I finished 8th overall or something. I made a top 10. I don't know what it was. I made quite a few Angler of the Years in the Toyotas of fishing 3 events. I made some Angler of the Years in a lot of circuits. So I seem to not have, I seem to do fairly well on fishing multiple events and adding up those Angler of the Years and the TXTTs and the BFLs and a lot of things. So I think it would suit me better for that. Doesn't mean I'm going to go do that. I'm just because it suits me better that way. I still look at the fact that, I talked to Hallman and he was coming back from Chesapeake Bay. And I don't want to get into this, but I'm gonna give you a little preview. Me and Hallman are going to get into this. And this ties into this whole discussion. He said, Todd, man, it might not be a big deal, guys, but I promise you what it is. He typed in Chesapeake Bay, drove there 10 hours. It's like you look on your map, 10 hours. Took him 10 hours. Took him 14 hours to get there. You're like, okay. Man, guys, if you've never traveled across the country pulling a boat with the pressure of trying to qualify and fish, knowing you're going to probably lose money in an event, and something takes you 14 hours instead of 10 because the traffic, the nightmare, none of it's fun. You're like, well, work's not supposed to be fun. Work you get paid for, and you get paid. This is you lose money half the time. So I bring all this up is that like it's gotten worse, right? The traffic, the traveling, he said the gas prices were insane up there. And he said the VRBO was like twice as much as what we're used to paying down here. When you look at an already bad payout and you're away from your family and you're doing all these things and everything gets worse, right? And that's why I bring up all those, like gas has gotten worse. The travel's gotten worse. The staying here has gotten worse. Everything has gotten worse. And yet the payout gets worse as well. So at least at one point in time, you could justify what you were doing. It's hard to justify that now. It's going to kill fishing. He said that and I was driving And I was going, what did he just say? Did he just say it's gonna be the death of fishing? No, not traveling. He's got a point that if none of that is getting better and nothing over here is getting better, and I started thinking about these tournaments that these local regional stuff that we're trying to put together, and why we have this TTO, and why we have tons of people come up to us and go, this is the best thing that we've ever seen. These are the best payouts. Well, you didn't get in them. Well, I mean, and I start hearing excuses from everyone, right? And that's all we get. Tournament directors hear them all the time. All of us that fished it, that's all we heard, excuses. Okay. They might be good excuses, they might be bad ones, but they're still excuses. And you're like, wait a minute, we're trying to put together something that's the best thing there is for a tournament that pays you better, that is built around the fishermen. It's not for the tournament directors, it's not for them to make more money. Like, look at it, they're not making any money in that event. And you're like, but why didn't you fish them? Why didn't you support this? And you're like, well, man, I don't really catch them at this lake, and I have to travel. Like I would rather stay on my little home lake and fish for no money and lose money, and it is what it is. But on a scale of like what's going on, heck, that's kind of almost me. Well, no, because like I said, it feels like they're trying to do better, but I don't want to. I'm not asking them to travel 14 hours away. I mean, we were staying all in Texas. I mean, most of those guys lived, a couple hours away from every single lake. So it just, it's just crazy. I'm gonna keep reading some stuff. How many guys do you think this will push to go fish the 9 opens to get in the elites? I don't really care about that. And let me tell you why. I think in PFL, from what I've heard, their list has gotten giant. Like they have got a lot of applicants. And I'm not saying they've done everything right. Don't expect them to. This is year number 2. Hopefully their second year did better than their first year. Because I'm okay with mistakes being made. I really like people to own up to them, in the sense of, you don't have to like own up to them in the sense of that. You just try to make them right. Like, hey, we kind of messed up here. This is how we're going to change it to make it better. I'm hoping they did it. I hope they did that, because they're going to mess up again. It's not even their fault. Like Bass is going to mess up. MLF's going to mess up. There's a difference between messing up and then like jumping all of us because we called you out on it. No, I think they're going to go over there because they're going to be like, wait a minute, I can pay the same amount of entry fee. You just lowered the cost over here, right? You just lowered the cost, the payout. Sorry, you lowered the payout over here. So if that was ever a deal, the payouts, I know there's still a big gap of first place, but there's definitely not as many people, right? There's a giant gap there of how many people were fishing. And to be honest with you, the competition is probably not as hard. So, I mean, it's just not, guys. I don't care what anyone says. Like, I'm not being mean. There's always been a gap on FLW and bass back in the day. I don't even know what it is now. I'm not even going to get into it now because there's got 1,400 freaking, professional trails. Okay. Oh my gosh. Did all these keep rolling? There's no way I can answer all these. It took me all the way down to the bottom. I didn't know I was that far behind the comments. Oh my gosh. Okay. Toya's that best pay. Yeah, okay. Base winnings 48,000. If you cash a check in each, entry fee 30,000. Terrible. I'm just going off your word. Think these changes by MLF are swayed by Bass 9 tournament rule. Listen, I'm telling you, something's coming down the pipe in like today or Monday from Bass. And like I said, it's very easy to go up. I have no idea, guys. I've got word that something's coming out, so be looking for it. That it's very easy for Bass to go up. No offense, Bass. It's garbage what you got. So like you might have less stinky garbage after what you come out with. There's one rule on there. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I'm gonna make the whole video I do on this. If there's one rule and they put this in there, I'm going to applaud. I'm going to go crazy on them if they actually put this in there, because I've been saying it for years. I'm not saying it was me. I'm not saying I did this. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I'm not, but I'm saying that rule is in there. Dude, awesome. I don't know if it is or not. It was a super tournament's the first year that had 70 or more boats. Yeah, super tournaments. I don't know what that great payout for first, but in your opinion, is it good to be so top heavy? No, I hate top heavy tournaments. Hate them. Hate them. TTO. So here's the deal. Did I just bring up the fact of 100,000, 80,000? Yes. So it's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but hear me out. I'm not bringing out whether 100,000 is good or bad. I never said it's good or bad. All I'm stating is from this year to next year, it's dropped 20,000. I said that's not good. Regardless of whether you agree that 100,000 should be first place or not, it still dropped 20,000. I'm just saying, look at the money that is now not there. It's all. I'm just bringing up facts of what I think are facts. But I think that's going to happen. They could prove me wrong on this, but I can only get the information that I received from their deal. So I've noticed on YouTube you have to separate. You have to. It sucks that I have to do this, guys, because some of y'all get it. Some of y'all don't need this, right? But some of y'all will not listen to what I'm saying. I just said that there's $20,000 less, I think, and the payout from the bottom is less, and all that. And there's no championship. All that money's gone. That's all I said. My opinion. This is my opinion on whether or not that top heavy events. I don't particularly like so much top heavy events. Okay. So hear me out on this. That it's so top heavy that after first place, there's almost nothing left to give away. That's relative. Okay. Why I don't like smaller tournaments with less entry fees, and because because then everyone loses. Okay. With the way society is now, with the way today's world is, you can't keep having $150 tournament trails at your local level 10 years after today. And they were 20 years ago, they were still 150. It doesn't make any sense because everything has quadrupled. Boats, trucks, fishing gear, all that stuff. Some of y'all guys might fish tournaments for whatever. Golly, if I'm going to fish like no one goes, some people go to gamble to have fun and to drink and do whatever, right? Would gambling be that much fun? And I'm not this big gambler, but it would, and I've gambled before, but would gambling be that much fun is if you knew when you went there, it wasn't that you were going to lose because you gambled bad. It was because they were going to just take less, like, hey, you're going to bet $5 and it used to be $5, but now you're going to get $250 back. You're like, whoa, wait, what? I'm going to bet 5 to win 250. Yeah. Okay. Well, man, you know what? We're still going to go have some fun. I just kind of want to gamble. It's going to be cool, and then it's like, hey, you're not allowed to make those bets anymore. All this other stuff has gone up. And now it's going to be, you're going to bet $5 to win $1. And you're like, well, this is not fun anymore. Because everything keeps rising. And then it's like, I could understand losing $200 and have fun at the gambling, hanging out with your buddies, having some drinks, whatever. In tournaments, some guys just go to have fun and get away. I get it. But some of us are like, hey, that's cool. But some of those guys, most of them are out there they're for competition. Because if not, I would just go fun fish, right? So if you're going to go gamble a little bit, and gambling, I mean fish, against everyone, you're going to try to go out there and if you do win, right, win some money. Like, it'd be nice to win some money. It's cool. Like, hey, look, man, this is my first tournament ever, and look how much money I won. those $150 events, they're like, you don't win anything anymore. And so like, it's just gambling for fun to lose. I I, I don't understand why that's like become a thing now. Like, just don't fish a tournament. Just go out there and have fun. Like, I don't know. That's just me. I don't just that doesn't sound like fun to me. I've never like, hey, we're gonna go do all this, lose a whole bunch of money, gamble it away and lose to have fun. That's just not fun. Anyways, so when you pay out, what happened this year on Bass Champs was this. And the Bass Champs is a local region, whatever. They had the super tournament, or it's their shootout, and it's $500 entry fee, right? Which I love. They guarantee 50,000. So no matter what, they don't know how many people are going to enter this thing. They got to pay out 50 grand though. Then from there, the payout is structured based off entries. Well, dude, the payout was junk. Because they had to put all of it into that first place. Championships are like that. Not Toyota championships. They don't care. That's what I was talking about. They are set in all championships. The Red Crest is set. The Classic is set. I'm not dogging any. Those are great. You know what 10th place or 50th place is 10 grand. I tell everyone who's making a trail, if you're going to have a championship, because money has to be taken away from regular season events. In the TTO, there is no championship. There is Angler of the Year money. So there's 25,000 extra money that they are paying out that is not coming from our entry fees. There's Angler of the Year money. I said, do Angler of the Year money, not championship money. Because now every one of our events, they're going to take 10% of that money and go to the championship. Okay. And you're like, well, aren't you getting your money back? Sometimes we'd all just want to fish for our money we put in for that event. And I don't believe going to a championship. Now I have to spend more money going to a championship. I mean, let me get this out, guys. You got 4 events. We can all realize that our 4 events are going to cost in the TTO. Our 4 events are going to cost this much money. We're putting up this much money to get this much money back. We put up this much money in this event to get this much money back. Okay. If we have a championship, we're going to take money from each one of these and put it over here. Okay. Now it costs me money to go to all 4 of these events. Entry fee, gas, practice, baits, food, everything. We're putting that much money to get back in these 4 events. Now you're asking me to go fish this event that's not free. I would have to pay for it. The payout's not going to be probably that much better. I have to now spend more time, more money, more everything to get money that I already put up over here to get some of it back. So I'm having now to spend more money to make my own money that I put up back over here. Now, I told him, I said, look, if you're going to have a championship, it has to be so phenomenal that it's worth you doing. If not, just pay us back our money in these events. Makes sense, right? The championship of the Toyota is so much more money. It's such an incentive to fish them all. It's worth it. In most tournaments, though, it's not like that. So I said, don't make championships like that. I'd rather just fish for my own money at that one event. When you had that Bass Champs deal, it was so bad at first that there was no money. And the reason the championships are bad are because you're going to have, say, 200 people fish every tournament, right? And they're all paying entry fees because there's almost zero chance that there's ever a regional or local championship that's free. We all have to pay for them. So it's really just a glorified extra event. Maybe there's a boat for first place that was more, but hear me out. Once again, top heavy. And then what happens is there's a qualification process, right? So you had 200 boats in all these. Then you had 75 boats in the championship. So you only get 75 of those entry fees. Well, we all know the less entry fees, it makes the payout structure look bad because it looks pretty good on a 200 boat field, right? So now we're fishing against 75 guys. And yes, you have a better chance of winning that boat, I guess. Not really. I don't want to get into that scenario of statistics. But the point is that now second through whatever is horrible because there's only 75 boats. Okay. So yes, I think sometimes they make first place because here's the other thing. like I said, this has nothing to do with the Tackle Warehouse about the 180 of why I would be mad it went from 180. It's because $20,000 is lost. But what I'm saying is this: if you're structuring a new tournament trail and you structure it at 30,000 to win, as opposed to 50, which is a big deal. $20,000 would be a big deal, right? Because it's a big deal over here. But like I said, if you're structuring that way, no one's going to win that tournament and go, man, I really wish I had won 50. Like no one's going to do that. No one. They're going to be like, dude, I just won 30,000. And the reason is because it was structured in that manner. So you know what you're putting in and you know what you're getting out. If second place, right, now paid 20, which never happens, which is what we try to do in the TTO, second place would normally get like 10 or 5 or something horrible, right? So you made one guy really happy and everyone else got the shaft. Now, I don't like paying way down the list, but man, there's a deal in there where it's like, hey, look, somewhere in that vicinity, there's a couple group of guys that called them really good, a top 10, top 15, a top 20. I want those guys to get paid. Like you should, I don't want ribbons all the way down here. I want to get paid for doing really good. Like, man, I almost won that thing by ounces. I did really good and I lost out on $40,000. And this other payout's horrible. No, man. Oh, I came in second and I won this much. That's a dang good payout. I'll stick around for that because I'm not going to win every event. None of us are. And so, or I finished fifth and like, hey, man, I actually got paid for fifth. Other than what place I'll come in? Fifth. Man, that's awesome. No, it wasn't. We both made $200. It's horrible. I don't know. Like it was a waste. That's why. Oh my gosh. Top 3 from each division and top 3 overall. Okay, they're taking 12. Thanks, Fit. I thought it was 12. I'm all on FLW, not Bass. I'm so far down on these comments, guys. I apologize because I wanted to kind of do it live just so y'all could comment. They were talking about like if I finished 46, would I get my entry fee back? Like I don't mind. There is a difference in paying $150 entry fee and wanting that $150 back. No one can say that's it. The reason here's why. So the comment is this. No, but in a large field, could finishing 46, could it be reasonable to expect your entry fee back? In something like this, yes. Because what's going on is this. I'm splitting them up and I always do it 2 different ways. We're talking about the pro side and like your local regional side. If your local lake that you're driving less than an hour to spend $150, okay, for an entry fee, you might have practiced, you might not have. You just got there for one day. You stay at your house. Maybe you got a place for the night. Maybe you're out some money. Getting that $150 entry fee back, at the time you might be like, hey, this is pretty cool. It didn't do anything for you. It's not, you lost a whole bunch, you lost money. Might as well, you're going to continually, even if you got double your entry fee back, $300. After gas, you still lost money. The difference on this is when you pay $5,000 and you get your entry fee back, right? You're not out $5,000. You're still out all the stuff you made, but there's a difference between losing $5,000 plus another $1,000 on top of like your expenses. $1,000's less. It's a lot more than $1,000. Then losing $150 on an entry fee and then losing another $150 on expenses. That's the difference. So that $5,000 is a big deal. So I understand paying back down to a certain level at that level. I get that part. So I don't think I even talked about that. Although I did say that they're not going to pay as many places down. But yes, so it depends on the level of entry fee. So the higher the level of entry fee, I don't mind you paying back a little bit more. It's when you pay $150 and it goes down the list giving out ribbons and everyone loses money in the event. That's more what I'm talking about, because $150 paycheck, it's just pointless. And so, you know, if entry fees go up and payouts should go up, Jeremy, I know, but I wouldn't be talking to you this about year by year, but it can. I mean, I agree with you, Jeremy. Right? It should be. That's a simple comment you just said, and yet it continually goes down. And like someone's going to look at me and go, "Man, you're really knocking this." I don't care if it's MLF. I don't care if it's Bass. I've said the same thing about Bass and their payouts. Horrible. I'll say the same thing about local tournaments. They're horrible. The TTO's payout, I bring them up for one reason. Their payout is 95% on $1,000. That's their payback. I've already done the math on the payback on MLF. It's not 95%. But that's a skewed number in a good way. The TTO's 95% is skewed in a good way. This is something that they are actually, TTO is not that they're messing up when they do this, because I mean, so hear me out. It's a fact that if you read it as is, they're actually doing themselves a disfavor, because it says 95% payback on your $1,000 entry fee, because it is $1,000 entry fee, $700 side pot. The side pot is 100% payback. If you actually added it together and they made that an entire entry fee, it's higher than 95%. So they actually almost did themselves a disfavor by not doing that, right? But side pots have to be 100% payback. And everyone's like, why is there a side pot? The tournament can't keep your money. It's you betting on money and you're getting all of it back. Does anyone understand how good? Like, that's why the TTO is so good. When the guy from Brandon Belt, I talked to them. I said, hey, always think about side pots. You will never convince me that a side pot's not a good deal. There's always a good deal. Here's the other thing about side pots. You get to prioritize how you divide up that money. In most trails, people want this high payout for first, or some of them do, right? Or they spend, like the question said, they put too much emphasis on that, and it makes the rest of the payout worse. TTO, the side pot's not like that. They don't put all this crazy money for first. It's staggered very close. And it's why our payouts are ridiculous. And it's insane, because we don't have to give it all away at first. We can pay the side pot out in these increments with your entry fee money. And when you add them together, it's this giant amount of money. Why? Because it's probably like 97% payback. It's just simple. Like, I'm not a smart guy. I promise y'all that, man. Like, I am not I'm pretty good at math, right? I did good at math in school, but I'm not like man, most people are smarter than me, but it's not hard for me to but yet I don't want to say this and be mean, but it's like fishermen aren't too smart when it comes to some of this. Like, they let emotion drive them to whether or not they're going to do something that has so much financial, where so much of the finances should be important. And they just look past it. And they just don't even they don't look at any of this stuff, man. They look at it, guys. They know it. They just choose to ignore it. And any of y'all that are watching that doesn't have just money some of these guys don't even have money to spend, but it's just like, what are you doing? Because in the end, here's what happens, guys. This is simple economics. And I probably failed my economics class in college. But here's the deal. If we keep on buying a bad product, and then you complain about that bad product, and then you're like, next year rolls around and you buy that bad product again, why would this company ever change? Ever change? Why? I wouldn't. I mean, I would, because I don't believe in doing bad business. But if I had a product that was so bad, like even with Strike King, when like half of our job sometimes is to like to to go through baits. Like I did it, like y'all don't even know this, but the pop and perch. The pop and perch, I found an issue that probably has happened to no one, that happened to me. And I was like, hey, can we change this plastic piece to a different grade of plastic? Because it's gonna be less, it's gonna be harder to break. And I bet you none of y'all have even broken it. But I did one time because I threw it. If anyone's seen my TikTok where I'm beating it against the tree, that was my testing. And we found a better plastic in this where the hook goes in, all this stuff. I'm not going to get into it. That broke less to make that bait better. And we're also looking at another thing with a tail, and we're doing that with multiple baits. I'm not saying we're perfect, guys. I don't want to get on here about everyone talking about like, well, this is right. We're trying to make products better because I just like, I want to make, like, if I know there's something inferior with the product, I want to make it better. But there's other businesses out there that are like, hey, man, these guys are going to keep on paying for this. And we know it's bad and we don't care because guess what? They're still going to pay for it. I don't understand why we could change what's going on with these things if we just stopped fishing bad trails. It would force them to do better. It would force the bad ones out. The good ones would rise. And we could somewhat regulate good trails and bad trails. But if we just keep, like, do you want to know how the tackle warehouse circuit would change? Is if no one signed up for it. Same thing with the opens. They would have to change. If one made one so much better than the other one would look up and it would fail. They would either adapt and change, or it'd fail and everyone would just go over here. Now this trail, I hate to say it, like they might have a monopoly on it, but I mean, it also leaves the door open for someone to do something better. I don't know. My question is, with fees and costs going up and entry fees going down, why do guys continue to do it? Oh, yeah. See, exactly. I don't know. No idea why, sponsor dollars aren't there to help any payback. Here's the thing about that. Totally agree with that comment. What I'll say about that comment is this. I don't fish the tour, okay? Because I don't have a sponsor paying me to. That's on me. That's on me. Maybe it's my inability to get a sponsor. I know I work with Strike King and Loot, but that the way, I'm not going to get into that about how my mind works on what sponsors do or don't do, or how they help or don't help, or anything like that. I'm not saying Strike King doesn't help. That's not what I'm saying. Is that I'm going to look at, like, sponsor dollar money is, it doesn't matter if it goes to your boat, your truck, your family, the entry fees, whatever, right? What I'm saying is that that's on me and my ability or non-ability or whatever to get a sponsor. They're putting on a trail. They're the ones doing all this because they want to, because they're making money. So it's their job to get sponsors. If not, they're doing a bad job of getting them. And they're not they're stuck in old ways or whatever it is, because people that succeed find new ways to be innovative. That's not my job to do that for them. And I get it. Like I said, I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just explaining what's been going on and where the money's been, it's been going. Is that bad business on my part? I just show up and fish. Is it bad business on them? I don't know. I don't know how their business practices go. But if they're losing sponsors, that's them not doing something right. My sponsors with me, I don't really lose any sponsors. My sponsors for years have been the same ones, and they've been phenomenal. TH Marine, right? I mean, they've been great for me, right? They've I think I've helped them out. I think they've helped me out. It's been a great relationship. So I don't know what their relationships have been with people. Walmart was a major role. I 100% agree it was. Why'd it go away? You can't go, listen, as fishermen, there has been this thought that if I catch a bass, someone should pay me sponsor money. If I win a tournament, I should be sponsored. That's the, you might get a sponsor. You might con or trick a sponsor into paying you. That's all you're doing is conning. You're tricking them and you're conning them into paying you for nothing in return. Because what are you really doing? No one cares that you caught a fish, dude. I can go on YouTube. I can go in the Tackle Warehouse Circuit and watch freaking 154 guys catch a limit. 154. Why are any of them? Why are you more special than any of them? And vice versa. Why are they more special than you? I have learned that, man, if I went and talked to a sponsor, I'm like, hey, look, this is what I'm offering you. This is what I can do for you. Not what are you going to give me? Right. So if they're promoting things that aren't real, like if they're sending out messages and not, and wrapping a bow around it, well, man, if that sponsor looks up after a year and go, man, you wrapped a bow on all that stuff, but you didn't deliver a present, it was an empty box, they're going to leave. So you've got to figure out, right? You've got to figure out how to keep those sponsors and how to do a better job of either being, I don't know what is, I'd say you're right, up to 100,000. It hasn't, well, yeah. They got Greico. His MLF video said the email they got said 80,000 payout. I didn't know he put out a video. Ryan Mealer said Christian Greco, his MLF video said the email they got said 80,000 payout. I didn't get that email. I heard it was that. What I try to do though is a lot of people on the internet love to make claims that they're not 100% about. I did not do that. I did not get that email, so I wasn't 100% sure. I was 99% sure, but didn't want to say it. I don't want to be one of those guys that just says something over hearsay. But while reading that, I said my opinion. I found it interesting that it said 100 up to 115,000, and just by some deductive reasoning, I said I have a feeling it might be 80. I didn't say it was, but I have a feeling. I still don't know. I'm going to go off of Ryan Mealer. I'm reading what Ryan said. Do I agree with Ryan? Probably. But I'm not saying that that's 100% guaranteed. I'm not saying it's not either. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be stuff about, I like to see where the 80 grand went from G-Man and Brandon Polnick went for paying off their contract to get out. Oh, that went in my pocketbook? Someone's pocket. Oh, I was like, dang, someone's freaking dogging me about my conservative. Too much. Then he said he's a billionaire. I'm like, oh, not talking about me. It was, I'm sure it was about whoever, Boyd or whoever it was. Yeah, I mean, I know who's driving all this, man. And like the KVD thing, look, man, here's what I'll say about KVD. And I talked to Kevin a lot. All these things, I don't know. I couldn't tell you if KVD has a whole bunch of stock in it. I know he's a co-owner. Co-owners are irrelevant. I'll tell you who else is a co-owner is Mike McClellan. And there's a good chance Mike McClellan isn't fishing next year on the BPT. So just because you're a co-owner and you invested in some money doesn't mean you have any say in what's going on. You can say whatever you want to. I can tell Strike King all I want to because I work there. Doesn't mean they'll listen to me. Okay. So That's all I'm gonna say. Because I can't comment on stuff I don't know, and I don't know just because KVD is a co-owner. So is Mike McClellan. So is a lot of those guys, and I'd be willing to bet that they weren't in favor of every decision that's ever been passed down. That's all I'm gonna say. So I don't like to lump. If you notice, I don't really talk. I don't say Boyd Duckett either, right? Or I don't say Johnny Morris. I'm just saying as a whole. I talk about MLF as a whole because when it all comes down to it, they are as a whole they're making a decision. Right now, I can talk about me at that meeting and having that one angler go tell me that I need to stick around and do all this stuff. I can talk about that because it came directly from the source. I listened to it, but everything else, no, I don't know. I'm just giving out information that shoot that's public that they send. That's why I didn't bring up the 80,000 that I got an email. I didn't get an email from anyone. I heard about some emails, but I didn't get it. So, yeah, I mean, guys got out, dude, and why did they get out? All of them. All of them got out, I think, for different reasons. If you want to go listen to Luke Duncan, go listen to Luke Duncan. Talk to why did that happen? It sucks. Oh, that's gonna piss me off. From Oklahoma. Why can't I think of his name? Someone help me out here. I didn't listen to all of it, but I listened to a lot of it. His name will come to me. I can't believe I forgot. He's from Oklahoma. It's not even a not. My bad, dude. I don't mean to. I'd go down to the bottom of this list. I can't read all these comments, but I'm even trying to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and read all these comments. Zach Burge, thanks. I just went to the bottom. Zach Burge. God, sorry, Zach. I didn't see the Jason Christie one. It's the Zach Burge one. The Zach Burge one's interesting. Dude, I mean, I might get crazy pushback from this video. I don't know. I don't know what it would be. I you know, I I don't know. Like I said, yeah, I'm gonna do a members lot. Okay, I'm gonna answer a couple of these more and then I'm done. I'm gonna answer it from some of the guys in the group. Yes, I will do. Look, man, Andrew, I'm gonna do it a lot. Someone asked, "Can you do Andrew? Can you do a members only live soon?" Yeah, dude. Sorry, man. I was at the TTO. We have 0 service down there, and then I went up to, like I said, I went up to Tulsa to meet with Strike King. We early mornings, late nights. I only have so much time I can go up there with those guys, and we had a lot of business. I've just got home. I'm going to be honest. I don't mind. I'll tell y'all. I'll do live members only all day long with y'all during the middle of the day when I'm home, like right now. But I got to pick up kids. So I mean, like family stuff, right? Like I've been gone for a week. Like I got 1,400 soccer games and swim meets and stuff I'm about to go to this weekend. It's why I'm not going to the Red River. And I might suck at the Red River. I probably suck even if I was there for a week. If I was there for a week or 14 days, I might be there for 14 days. I mean, maybe, guys? Wink, wink. Maybe, just maybe Bass puts it off limits. Maybe Bass puts it off limits next year on the opens. I mean, I don't know. Wink, right? Maybe they put that rule in there. Just maybe. I don't know. I'm not saying they are. If they do, boy, man, I'm getting on here. We're cracking up a cold one, and I'm going to celebrate Bass for doing something that I can tell you is the first time, not the first time, I will go off on the fact of why that's such a good thing and that it actually hurt them. That they put something in, if they come out with an off limits for the Bassmaster Opens, I will explain why it absolutely hurts them. But as a trail and as for fishermen and all this, it's the freaking bet. It's phenomenal. I hope they do it. I hope y'all did it. Yes, I'll do them. Then I'm going to the Red River. I'm gonna try to get, if we have service there, I'll do a live deal. Me and Blake will be there. Who my roommate, whatever. Me and Hallman and Andrew talked about trying to get together while we're down there at the Red River, not catching any fish. I mean, we liable to just come in for lunch and do a live just because we can't catch any fish on that place. Ben, here's the Todd. Do you think that you could have started out the way you did in today's tournament market? Love this question. And I've thought about it. No, not even close. I actually scares me. I don't get scared. I look back at what I did on a regional and local level and how everyone makes the comment of going, oh man, you really chose to do it that way. Dude, that wasn't by choice. It was a choice I made, but not because I necessarily wanted to. You think I didn't want to go fish the elites, guys, or the tour? Like the first time I got the opportunity, I know I qualified, but the first time I was able to, from a sponsor from Costa, which I'm still with Costa. Costa's awesome, right? They just went through some changes, and you know, I didn't benefit from the changes. You know, they got bought out and all kinds of things. And I understood that, right? No hard feelings, you know, whatever. But the first chance I got, I went and fished tour. I did. Loved every second of it. Would have stayed there again. Would have stayed there if I would have stayed there one more on my contract. I had one more year. I would have stayed one more year, even though all the bad stuff that was going on. Because people were like, I told, there was young guys that came up to me like, what should I do, man? I've heard what you said. I'm like, did you get it paid for? They're like, yeah. I'm like, go fish it. I have no problem if you get something paid for and you want to go fish the tour. This isn't, that's great, but not all of us have that. Not all of us have money to go gamble away either, right? So I told him, I'm absolutely go fish the tour. Go do it. If you got it paid for and it's not coming out of your money, it's not a bad beat on you, go do it. I had to do it because I was going to have to put up my money all those years. And I wasn't willing to take that risk and a gamble. I was risking and gambling at home to a degree, fishing these tournaments, but I had been in that. I had seen how it went down, and I was decent enough at it to keep coming out ahead. I didn't know what it looked like, and that gamble was going to be bigger. I don't know. I'm not saying the fishing was going to be harder. I have no idea. I think a lot of those guys said what I was doing back home was harder than what those guys were doing. I will say that, like, when I got to the tour, after a little bit of adjustments, I started from the like I didn't all of a sudden get better when I fished the tour. I had to learn how to catch them, not consistently. I had to go less for the win to get to sometimes to do better. Because back home we had to go for the wins. Like I had to, because there wasn't a lot of money in 10th place. So I learned. So I learned to go more for the win, right? Hold on, what's going on here? Crazy light went out. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, I had to go just some minor adjustments. Why I can't do it now and why I don't think anyone can do it is because tournaments have gotten worse. It goes back. It's my whole deal. And when I say tournaments have gotten worse, okay, let's not say that. They've stayed the same. I was getting by. Like, fishing costs so much money to own a boat, to own a truck. And when you're not making any other income other than fishing tournaments, I was very good at understanding what that money was, what it took to play, how much it took to win, how much it took to just live. And I lived a very, very, very modest lifestyle, very modest lifestyle. Like I to this day, I still, I saved a bunch of money. I still save a bunch of money because I never knew when I was going to get paid. Like I went 20 years not knowing if I'd ever get another paycheck in my life other than from a fishing tournament. So when I got money, I saved it because I was scared to death. I'll be honest. I don't think people realize that. Scared to death. I mean, it's a weird feeling knowing that you never know when your next paycheck's going to come. Now, granted, anyone can have a job and get fired from that job, and they don't know when they're going to get a paycheck. But at least, but for the most part, right? If you're working and you think 2 weeks from now I'm going to get paid again, and if not, I'll go find another job. I solely based it on fishing tournaments, man. And so I knew the money that I knew the money that I needed to go try to win. I knew the money I was going to put up. I knew the tournaments that were good and bad and all that stuff. And at the time, things didn't cost that much. Well, okay, they cost a lot. I knew the ratio for all that. Now with the tournament staying the same and the ratio over here continually going up, like say I was profiting 40% a year off of all this stuff, it's probably down to 20% now or 10. And I would still have to win just as much, and I'd be winning that much less because of expenses and everything else, because the entry fees and on these tournament trails, everything stayed the same while everything else went up. It's what I've always stated. So no, I don't think I could do this now, right? And there was incentives, there was different things. I mean, I had that legend incentive, man, for a couple of years. That I was rocking it with that, right? It was the best incentive program there was for that little small amount of time, and I profited from that. And maybe I got lucky and won more tournaments then too. It was just no, I don't think I could, man. And it sucks and it scares me. And I think guys still to this day that say, "Oh, you can go down there in Texas and do all that." Can't live down here and do it, because it was very multifaceted. Like people used to go, "Oh, you can do it in Texas." Well, I wasn't staying in Texas. I was fishing 45 tournaments a year, but if you look, I was fishing Opens, I was fishing Toyotas, I was fishing the Central Toyotas, I was fishing everything in Texas, the TXTTs when they first came out, right? Killing it. The TXTTs had like the most insane incentives, right? I mean, they were paying down Ranger money and Evinrude money and Mercury and boat money, and like we were making checks at 50th place where we wouldn't even make money off the entry fee. It was off incentives. And so there was Lear money out there, incentive money. There was that way to win money there. I mean, you're like, oh, it was $150. Yeah, but if I win that 10 times a year and I win, 1,500 or 1,500 extra bucks, a lot of people might say, well, what's the big deal with $1,500? Well, man, when you start adding all up, 1,500 here, 2,000 there, 4,000 there, and it's extra incentive money, and you look up and it's $10,000 extra a year, well, man, that's what happens from 40% to 30%, right? And so that stuff's gone. It's not there anymore. And yes, there's still good incentive money, like from Costa and Toyota. Like Costa has good incentive money now, right? For their conserve to anyways, yeah, I won that a couple times this year. $500. It's $500. Sometimes it's more than the actual what you win in the tournament. So yeah, I think it's tough. I don't think you can do it, to be honest with you. It's too much. And the boats are too much. The electronics, don't even get me started, right? I'm not out here ever. Like some of these guys still think I'm wanting to ban electronics. No, I don't want to ban electronics. That's an absurd thing to say. My comment on all that, and y'all know if y'all ever watched that video, never said ban them. I just said where are we going with them? Like how far are we going to push that thing? How far? Are we getting 9 graphs at $8,000 a piece? And they can see a fish 400 feet away. I mean, there has to be a limit. I would just like a limit. Is all I want. Is a limit. That's all I wanted. It's not a ban. Just where are we going to stop? Will it ever stop? And if we keep and I don't know if it will. It has to. It needs to. At some point in time, it needs to stop. You can't drive. Half these guys are listening. Can't drive. So it goes back to your comment. Could I have made it? No, man. On this day and age, I don't think I would have made it. You would have drove me away from doing this as a sport, probably. because I don't know if I could have afforded the electronics and some of that stuff. I don't need electronics to catch fish now, but I'm a lot older now. But at the beginning, if I was younger, it would have been hard. It would have been hard while everyone else had that to play that game. And everyone's like, oh, there's going to be a guy out there always just like, oh, well, man, you need to find something else to do. I've had that come tell me that. Like I was complaining. I'm like, hey, I'm good. I'm going to be okay. But man, I look out. His comment was perfect, Ben. Could you have when I was 20? No, I couldn't have. A 20-year-old, I don't think, with what I had accessible to me, can make it in this sport. Can you? There's always a way. The way I did it, no. The way they do it, maybe so, because they were in high school fishing or college fishing. I don't know. I don't comment on high school and college fishing too much because I never went down that route. So I don't talk about it. I don't know how that all looks. So I like I said, I try to stay in my lane about what I know. I know about this, about what I'm talking about today. I don't talk much about high school and college fishing because I don't know much about it. I never went there. Not college. I just didn't do. When I was in college, I fished I didn't fish against other college kids. I fished against the adults of, that's if you wanted to fish tournament. If you were in high school and you wanted to fish tournament, you didn't fish high school tournament. When I was in high school, I fished bass and bucks and English Quest and media basses and bass. I fished against all the other guys that were 21 to 80 years old. So what I did. I'm not saying it was better or worse. Just saying if I wanted to fish a tournament, I had to go put my money up against the best of the best on that lake and fish against them. That's a whole nother story about who lets people in fishing tournaments, right? Like I didn't think twice about it. I was just like, man, if I want to fish, that's who we'll go fish tournament against those guys, not against a bunch of other high school kids. The high school kids might get in the tournament, but they're having to fish against those guys as well. And it would have been probably tough because back then it was like, I'll be honest with you, back then the electronics were so bad, they rarely helped you catch a fish. So to me, and it's why I take pride in that, is this, and I'll leave it at this. This will be my last response. So I grew up on Livingston. My deal was this. There's a lot of boat docks on that lake. I'm not saying, and I learned not to catch fish on boat docks to do good on that lake. But when you're starting out, boat dock is just like anything, a boat dock, a stump. I mean, visually, what you can see with your eyes above, like that's where a bass should live, right? And that's what we all went and did. Well, man, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if anyone could outfish me on a boat dock. Like, I don't know if anyone could flip a crankbait, not a worm, not skip a worm. I could do all that. I don't know if people could flip a crankbait like I could in a boat dock. And I freaking spent hours doing it. Like I made myself really, really good at that, at catching them that way. So I could go behind everyone, throwing a crankbait, flipping a crankbait, slinging a crankbait. I can't tell you how many crankbaits I busted, learned. I mean, but I thought that was a skill level that I could practice on my own that didn't cost me anything except time on the water, which I need to do a whole video on time in the water because that's a big whatever. There's a lot of truth and a lot of false, but I just figured that if I could outfish you in a boat dock and I could do stuff that you didn't spend the time to do to get better, right? That I could beat you in a tournament and win. That's not the case now. I mean, right? Like, hey, I can throw a crankbait really good. Well, and I'm not bringing up live scope, but anyone in the smallmouth world knows that like you can be the best drop shot fisherman in the world, but when you're making 40 casts to this guy's 1 and he's throwing right at the fish every time, it would be hard for a kid that doesn't have live scope and side imaging. Like side imaging went around when I was there. Like, dude, GPS and waypoints weren't even around when I first started fishing, right? I mean, we had to triangulate everything. And I'm telling you, the arguments I got with me and my dad out there white bass fishing would embarrass people because we'd be off by 100 yards. We'd both be wrong, but we'd be out there in the middle of the lake trying to triangulate places about where we had caught white bass the day before. Big giant arguments, big mad. I mean, big mad. And I mean, we went, man, you talk about me and my dad, who was my best friend. I mean, you talk about not even talking to each other because we wouldn't be out there catching them. Probably wasn't even good, but we'd be off. It's hard, right? I'm just saying I'm just out of our pontoon boat because I didn't have a bass boat back then. So yeah, there's a lot there. Need to talk about that one day. It's a whole bunch there. But yeah, be tough for some of these kids or some kids, adults, young adults, 40-year-olds. Yeah, I think it's getting harder. It's getting harder. All right. Thanks, guys. That only lasted an hour and 45 minutes. Yeah, it's crazy. Do you like fun fishing with your dad or tournaments more? I would give up all tournaments to fish my dad. My dad passed away in 2006, and we got to fish some bass tournaments together. Won some bass tournaments on Livingston. About the time I was getting to Rayburn, and started my tournament fishing on Rayburn, was in 2006. And I had fished a couple tournaments, but I knew almost nothing about Rayburn at the time. I was still in college, and I was basically going home more to fish tournaments. And I was fishing a lot with my buddy Eddie back home, and so we were fishing like Conroe and Livingston. So my dad was there when I won my first boat on Conroe. He was there for that, but he passed away in 2006 in January. And me and Jarrett Lotta won a bass and bucks on Rayburn in March with 35 pounds sight fishing, and that was pretty much the tournament that started elevating me on Rayburn, and realizing I just went out there pretty young and beat a field, and no one at the time 30 pound, like no one had weighed in a 30-pound bag in like years upon years. And we went and caught 35 pounds. And yeah, that was like the one tournament I wish he could have been like. I think he would have been proud to like go, like, to see us. He knew Rayburn was a different level. And so that was the one tournament I wish he could have seen. I think he would have been, that would have been pretty cool. But yeah. No, was it fun fishing with my dad? It would be a lot more fun now. I'll put it that way. My dad, it was hard when we were younger. Like I said, we got in millions of arguments about where we were on the water. I swear to you, like where we were white bass fishing, because we white bass fished a lot. Bass fishing, no, man, he let me run everything, and we had a good time out there. But he's a really competitive guy, and he was really, really good in sports. He did let me do a lot of the things on my own. I mean, like I kind of taught him how to bass fish. He didn't know anything about it. Of course, I was going to college and doing all these things, and he was still on Livingston, so he was kind of still practicing for us, sometimes for events. But yeah, like as he got a little bit older and I got a little bit better, I was able to take him to some fishing stuff that he was not used to. So we would go to Lake Nack and things. And man, yeah, those were fun because I was able to show him. Livingston didn't have grass, didn't have pads, didn't have all these things. And so he only knew like worming and cranking and spinnerbaiting. And when we get over here, it'd be all these new. I'm like, hey, look what I learned, and he thought that was pretty cool. Like I didn't get to do that very much with him. That was a very short-lived time where I was able to do that. So, anyways, yep, that's it. I'll go into that one day. Yeah. All right. Maybe I won't get. I always laugh. I'll get done with one of these videos, and I'm like, man, I hope I don't get some random weird feedback, because that's what happens now, right? Like people, it's not even opinions. It's just, I don't think I like dogged anyone in this video. I think I just kind of told what was going on. Right. And like maybe some people open their eyes to see, or maybe it just opened their eyes to a different point of view of what was going on. And so, I mean, listen, here's the crazy part. I hope, I hope they do good. Like, I hope MLF kill. Look, my dream is for MLF to rebound and kill it to where there are no entry fees anymore and they're giving away tons of money for all these fishermen who ever qualify. That's my hope. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I don't want them to fail. I don't want any of these things to fail. If they fail, I told that tournament director, I said, hey, look, man, if y'all fail, it gives me less opportunity to make money. So I never want these things to fail, ever, ever. I want them to crush it. Because if they here's the deal. When FLW was crushing it back with Walmart and everything, ask every fisherman. It was freaking the deal. When the triple T's of FLW, when it was Ranger-based triple T's, ask anyone that's fished that event. They said it was that was, what do they call it? The golden ages. It was the golden ages of fishing back in the early 2000s. Like, there was money thrown out there. Sponsors were going crazy. Tournament trails were throwing away money left and right. Like, everyone was winning. Dude, we all want that back. The problem is no one's figured out how to do it, right? So in the meantime, right, if you're going to do something, let's at least get it to where it makes sense rather than, it's just going downhill. That's just all I'm saying. So, yeah. So I'm guessing Tackle Warehouse won't be a sponsor anymore for the MLF. Once again, I did not say that. It sure, all I'm saying, I was reading, and I got to go. You're killing me. I was reading what was on there, right? What this thing said. And they didn't say anything about Tackle Warehouse not being there. All they said was it will now be called an MLF invitation. I don't know why it wouldn't be called Tackle Warehouse anymore, other than Tackle Warehouse isn't sponsoring it. I'm not saying they aren't. Tackle Warehouse might be sponsoring the whole freaking league. If it was my sponsor, I'd be having their name out there. So just like TH or I just like TX. But yeah, sponsors may have it's not sponsors have gotten smarter. Yeah, it's not that, yeah, they've gotten smarter. You just got to look at what's getting out there. I mean, if I have thousands of people watch this thing, maybe a sponsor is like, hey, it's a lot better maybe to sponsor this video than it would be this guy who caught 13 pounds in a tournament the other day and came in 19th place, and it's on his jersey this big that no one saw. I'm just saying, right? I mean, there's always it's changing. This thing's all changing, right? This fishing deal's changing, and someone better step up and change with it. And the guys that change with it, man, those are guys going to be successful. Fishermen and the tournament trails. There's a reason YouTube kids getting millions of views. Yeah. And what do you do with that? That's why my YouTube, I don't like, so I'm gonna read this. There's a reason the YouTube kids getting millions of views get more dollars than a pro who can really catch them. Most of the pros aren't doing YouTube. And if they are, they're not, I don't consider them doing it right. And you can get sucked into YouTube on getting views rather than I'm not saying, man, giving out millions of information. There's good information and bad information. So just because someone gives away information doesn't mean it's information, right? It's just, or it doesn't mean it's good or bad. It is what it is. Kids giving away all that stuff, sometimes it's for entertainment, sometimes it's for most of it's, I don't know if it's really all that great. And I'm not going to give away every secret I've ever learned in fishing. I don't know what that would do. That doesn't help anything. My whole goal is to, just like this video, it wasn't to bash on anyone or good or bad or anything. It was just to try to give out some accurate information on what's going down. You have the ability to go decide whether that's good or bad, and to look at it from a different point of view, maybe that might help you make a good decision. That's the same thing. I can tell y'all every single thing I did on Texoma this weekend, and you could go out there and zero, because it didn't really help you if that's all I did. If I give you information on how to think about fishing and how to maybe like view it in a different way, throw in maybe some tips every once in a while, but you can't fish like me, just like I probably can't fish like you. But if you start to grasp some of the concepts and some of these things, then you can take what you know and get better. That's all I'm trying to do. So I'm not trying to clickbait things too much, or you kind of have to do some weird stuff. But yeah, you know, it's what I do. It's what I think. Yeah, Kate. Man, KCT, they're helping y'all out. You have to look on the computer. It's the only thing I can say. It has a join button. And there's a bunch of videos. I'm probably, I think I can do a deep water series, close to one about Texoma. I think I'm going to try to do one on the Texoma video tournament we just did, where we made a top 10. I think, what did we finish? Seventh? Yeah. I think I'm going to do one on that one. And not for like just the private group. I'm gonna try to start working on that one. I think I haven't gone through all the content in the videos. I think I saved everything enough to where I can do it. And it should be I think it should be good. But yeah, go check out. I think if I'm right, guys, because it looks different on mine, but I think if you just go to my home page, there's a button that says join, and I do a bunch of live stuff. Probably not as much. Andrew's probably mad I don't do as much live stuff, right? With them. Sometimes I can. I feel bad, man, doing it in the middle of the day sometimes, and guys are always like, man, I couldn't watch it. There's never a perfect time I can do it where everyone can get on there, but I assume y'all guys, right, can go back and watch it anytime. I have other videos, like some other videos that I don't release to the public on there. We got some hybrid hunter stuff on there. I got some sight fishing stuff. It's very unedited. Wouldn't y'all agree? Very raw. Very. I think there's they're longer. I think they have a lot more information at times because they're just different. So I try to do those for y'all, and I believe Kevin, Andrew, Travis, Ben, wouldn't y'all just say sight fishing video is juice? Yeah. Wouldn't y'all say, if y'all think I'm open in this, we're way more open in those private videos? Right? If one of y'all, I'm sure here in just a second, one of them will be like, yeah, we get into some way more in-depth about fishing stuff, way more depths about secret stuff. There it is. The private group is real raw. Yeah, it's raw. I mean, we get it. Like it's just a couple dudes freaking hanging out, and there's not many, so we all get to comment, and I mean, we go through every single. Yeah, yeah. See, members only. Yeah, I know you ain't mad, Andrew. I'm just messing with you. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like I kind of halfway feels like I know all these guys. We go through every question, everything. It's all there. I hope some guys like it. Some guys, maybe they don't. Yeah. But anyways. All right. 2 hours. I somehow was going to quit at an hour and a half. I was really only going to go like 45 minutes, but we're up to 2 hours. This happens all the time on our private stuff too. It just freaking goes on forever. All right. There you go. Look at them. They all popped in, man. Yeah, look, there. Any of those guys with that symbol on there, those are all freaking private group guys, man. Those are the dudes right there. Look at them going crazy. All right, see y'all guys, man. And by the way, that group right there, that group with all them guys, yeah, man, they're all like, it's tight knit, guys. They don't know each other. I'm saying it's just tight knit. Like we keep it a tight knit, keep it real, we keep it private. It's cool deal. All right, see y'all guys.